I have been looking forward to this. A few weeks ago, we had our meeting of the panel by conference call, just so we all kind of knew who was talking about what, and so that we all kind of got to know each other. But I have the advantage because I already knew 4 of the 5 panelists before that meeting. And so I am excited to work with them and to get to know a new Money Smart chair and partner from Texas. So here's what our format's going to be, as Alejo said. Each of the partners will have a few minutes to give you some of their highlights. I think they all have some slides that they're going to show. Then I'll have a question or two for the panel. Then we'll open it up for any questions that you have, but don't be surprised that they may ask you questions too. Okay? So stay on your toes. Our first panelist is Ruben Aedo, and he joined the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas at the El Paso branch in 2001. He's the public affairs representative for the Public Affairs and Economics Education Department, so obviously it's a natural fit for him. He supports economic outreach efforts to a wide variety of audiences, ranging from financial institutions to community leaders in the private and in the public sector. He works with nonprofits, community-based organizations, the whole 9 yards. He's currently working toward an MBA to follow up with his Bachelor's of Business Administration, and he's a contributing member of the Heritage Foundation and the Rio Grande Economics Association. So we're pleased to have Ruben as our first panelist today. Next is Kristen Comer. Do you have a name tag now, Kristen?
I made one.
Okay.
Very professional.
Kristen is a certified marketing professional, and she's been the director of marketing at Morningstar Village, which is a senior living facility in Rockford, Illinois. She's been there for the past 5 years. She was first part of Money Smart Week as a partner in 2012, and then she moved up the ranks really fast because last year she was co-chair for a major effort there in northwestern Illinois. She says, I love this. She says, being part of Money Smart Week has been one of the greatest challenges and greatest rewards in her personal and professional life to date. And so she's looking forward next year to not being co-chair, but she's going to still be involved in the marketing and kids committees. We never let a good one go. Susan Canfield LeFew is our third panelist. She is Senior Program Specialist with AARP Foundation's West Virginia Field Office, where she's been since 2007. Susan was on this panel 2 years ago. And for those of you who don't know, I'm actually an introvert, okay? And so it's rare for me to actually reach out to somebody I don't know, but after her presentation, I don't know if it was email or call, probably email since I'm an introvert. And so to have her on the panel again today was like, yes, I know who this is. I've actually corresponded with her. So hopefully she'll have some more great things for us to hear about today. But she operates an outreach program to prevent healthcare fraud by educating senior volunteers who then share that knowledge with their peers. And prior to working with the AARP Foundation, she's been in and around state government in a number of different positions for years. She chairs the entire West Virginia Money Smart Week effort, and she's a graduate of West Virginia University, and I guess since she put this on here, I better say it. She's proud to be a fan and stockholder of the Green Bay Packers. Not sure how that happens in West Virginia, but okay. All right, our fourth panelist is Laurie Peterson, who is Vice President of Community Development Banking with PNC Bank and its predecessors since 1984. Her role is to develop and facilitate business partnerships with community groups, local community development corporations, churches, nonprofits, and so forth. And the goal is community revitalization. Her passion is working with financial literacy programs and wealth creation initiatives. So through that, she became involved with Money Smart Week in 2005, and she seems to just keep moving. She starts a campaign in one area and moves to another. And so if you want to credit somebody with the strength of the programs that we have, the Money Smart Week campaigns that we have in Central Illinois, if you trace them back, a lot of them, this is their roots. And then our fifth panelist is Lori Burgess. She's the Support Services Coordinator at the Fond du Lac Public Library. Now, at this point, you should be realizing that we have 5 people from very different roles, all taking leadership in Money Smart Week. So I think that's one of the things you're going to learn today is that no matter where you come from, your strengths are going to have a place to be at home here. Lori got her BA from University of Wisconsin Superior and Master's in Information and Library Studies from the University of Michigan. She's been involved with Money Smart Week since 2007. And over the time, she has been the programming subcommittee chair, and then she was the planning committee chair. And after organizing a Money Smart Week presentation for a Wisconsin Library Conference, she said the ALA, American Library Association, caught wind of her library programming success with Money Smart Week, and the rest, as she says, is history. So in 2013, she was the first librarian to receive the Governor's Council Financial Literacy Award for her work in promoting Money Smart Week to libraries in Wisconsin and around the country. So we've got 5 interesting folks to hear from. So Ruben, if you want to come up and, Tiffany's going to get us onto the right screen, and each of the slide presentations just tags on to the one before. Okay. And mouse or click like this to advance?
Either. Whichever you prefer. So you can arrow or you can click. Or just arrow.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for allowing me to be part of this panel. I greatly appreciate it. Hopefully you all get some good ideas on this. When I was reading the description for this panel, it said something about veterans, Money Smart Week veterans. This is my 3rd year, so maybe I'm a veteran, I don't know. But let me get started here. I want to share a few things that has worked for us in El Paso. Okay, before the campaign, we would like to do a kickoff to create buzz, to create awareness, not just start our classes, but to have a little party. Who doesn't like a party, right? So to have a little party, and something that we did in El Paso was a race, a Money Smart Week race. Now, we didn't know how it was going to work out at the beginning. Somebody brought the idea of having a race. There's races for anything in El Paso. We like to race. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's the way it is in Chicago or in your home city, but we have races all the time in El Paso. And so we said, well, let's make a race. Let's call it Run for the Money, right? And so that's what we did. We used it as a kickoff event. First of all, to create a buzz before the start of our campaign, and 2, to raise awareness. Now, I've never put on a race before, so we hired a company. I didn't know companies existed that this is what they do, and they make a profit out of it. But there's actually people that do this. You pay them, and they go and get permits. They block off streets. They get ambulance, emergency personnel there, and they do it for you, and it's awesome. You just have to pay them. Now, yeah, keyword. There's a cost. So we said, okay, let's do it now. We want to incorporate everybody. We want to incorporate the whole family, not just people that want to race or people that do triathlons. And we want to incorporate, bring your family. That's how we sold it. So we had different categories. We had an 8K run, a 5K fun run walk, and a 1 mile fun walk. So we had a lot of people bringing their children. Not just, it wasn't just a sprint. I mean, it was a good variety of people that participated in the event. Now, we also provided food and refreshments, and we had a live band and a local DJ. So a lot of people came in, but they didn't run. They just came with their family, right? They just said, okay, I'll go with you, you run, I watch. That's okay. There was things for you to do there. Also, we had food and refreshments for you, and we had a live band playing while the run was going on. And we also partnered with a well-known local DJ that was our MC for the event. So people enjoyed listening to her also. Okay, participants received a Money Smart Week t-shirt, yay. They get to wear around and promote Money Smart Week for free. Now, our prizes for the run included a traveling trophy. So we challenged the Fed in El Paso, or you can use it for your organization, but the Fed challenged other banks, other financial institutions to see who could make a bigger team than our team. And we lost, but that's good. That was the point of that, right? To challenge other organizations to see who can make the biggest team. And so the traveling trophy went to the biggest team. And that was pretty neat. So the traveling trophy, it was a non-cut sheet of $2 bills framed really nice with their with the name of their team on the bottom. Okay, and for the winners, we had $5 sheets, $2 sheets, and $1 uncut sheets. Now, I know these aren't like big prizes. We teach budgeting, and so we have to be really careful with our budget. So, but it's really neat. You know, you can hang these and promote Money Smart Week. All right, okay. We also had medals for the top 3 in each category. So it wasn't the traveling trophy or the $5, $2, and $1 uncut sheets. It was medals for the top 3 in each category. So we had like from 0 to 5. We didn't have a lot of participants in that area, but from 6 to 12, we had categories up till I think 75 or 80 was our highest, and female and male. So we gave medals to each of first, second, and third in each category. That was just a picture of our local DJ. She opened up the program. That was pretty neat. So she talked about Money Smart Week, when the classes were going to be, where you could get more information, all that good stuff. And then we continued with a color guard presentation by our wonderful United States Army. That was a race. People getting ready for the race, and they said, who wants to take a picture of them starting? And I volunteered. The whole idea behind that was I snapped a picture of him when the gun went off, and then I started running too. I got a head start. Yeah, it's like, shh, let's go. No, just kidding. I stayed behind. It was actually a really, really good turnout. We didn't know what to expect. 5 minutes? We didn't know what to expect, but we had a lot of participants just register for the race. We charged $25 for the race, and they got a lot. They got food, they got a t-shirt, they got medals, hot dogs, everything. So I thought it was a pretty good deal. So anyway, these are just photos of that, and I'll move on quicker. So that was one. That was something that we decided to do, and it got a lot of media coverage. Just radio stations knew about it, and they helped us promote it. The news, the different news organizations, newspapers, it got a lot of media coverage. Okay, so that was one. I wanted to share 3 things. My second one is called an essay art contest. And this essay art contest, we like to do it with middle school students because that's where we have found the highest participation rate. Now, what do? We give them one topic. Last year's topic was, you just won $1 million. What does your spending plan look like? Now, middle school students have to, in return, write a one-page essay on what will they do with $1 million. And we give them a 1-gallon size bag of shredded money. So they have to illustrate their essay with an art piece. And I'll show you a photo of this as we move on. So they have to illustrate this art piece with shredded money. Where do you get shredded money? Just call your local Fed, okay? You can't, we're nice people. We'll give you money if you want, but we don't want to see it being sold on eBay or Amazon. Otherwise, one of Rosie Rios's people will be calling you, and you don't want that. Okay, all right. So this was last year, so it's geared toward middle school students. We talked about that financial awareness topic. We had 87 entries from the middle school students. Now, these entries then are narrowed to the best or the top 15. And the top 15 are the only students that are required to make an actual art project. We don't give shredded money to everybody, just to the best ones. Okay? All right, and then these art pieces of the final 15, we displayed them at a local library, at a local main public library. For about 3 weeks, they were displayed there, and they were judged by art students of our local university and English teachers. So once we picked the winners, we made a little dinner with the finalists and their families at a local pizza restaurant. And the prizes included were an iPad 2 for the first place, Kindle Fire for the second place, and a third place received an iPod Nano. The year that we had our race, we included it with the race, the essay art project. So we displayed the art projects in a venue there outside the race where that is a piggy bank covered with shredded money. So kids are just so creative. They just blow your mind. You just give them a topic and they will find something to do. Okay. All right. That is a picture of this year. This is at a local pizza restaurant. That is our winner right there. First place, iPad. I'm sorry. Now, the third one. I found a common denominator among everybody today, and I think it's audiences. How do I improve my attendance? Attendance. I think we've all asked ourselves that question. So we decided to try something new this year. Ready-made audiences. Now, who has planned a party before? Everybody, all right? I just got married. And talk about planning a party, man. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So, I want to use a metaphor. It's a lot of work to plan a party, right? So, it's every event that you put on, it's like planning a party. You need invitations, you need context, resources, all that good stuff, right? So I said, why not just crash parties? Why plan a party when you can crash it? So that's what we started doing in El Paso, crashing parties. So this is a ready-made audience. What is it? A group of individuals that have predetermined meetings scheduled throughout the year. They already meet. at certain places, certain locations. We're talking, some of our audiences include your GED classes, community learning centers, and English as a second language classes. So these are folks, these are individuals who are already meeting. And so we said, let's go crash crash their party. And so it's worked. Why? Last year, we only had 31 classes. We've been doing this in El Paso this was our third real year doing it in El Paso. And so we stole it from United Way. And United Way was doing it in El Paso, and we thought it was a great idea. And so we were helping them out. And so we said, oh, that looks easy. We can do it. So we asked United Way, hey, do you mind if we take over Money Smart Week? And they didn't hesitate to say yes. And I said, well, that was rather quick. I thought they would at least fight for it. It's here. So it's been an interesting ride, needless to say, but very rewarding. So last year, we only had 31 classes. When we started crashing parties this last year, we increased that to 94 classes, and that's a 203% increase for those of you that like statistics. So I thought that was a really neat thing, and helped our campaign tremendously looking for these types of classes. And then our attendance last year was 670. This year it was 949. That's a 41% increase. And I'll just show this here is a picture of a ready-made audience that we had. We had about 100 individuals there. And it was, it's awesome, to give your presentation to a lot of people, not just one, and I think we all know how that feels like. It's awesome, right? Because what a bang for your buck for that one attendee. But we try to capture as much people as we can. So those are my three points that I wanted to share with you guys. I highly encourage them. It's worked very great. It's proven it's given us really good results in El Paso. And thank you so much.
So I'm not off to a good start because not only am I missing a name tag and had to make my own, Dan Rutherford was upgraded to the Illinois Treasurer and I was downgraded to nothing. And then to come to find out that I'm sitting next to an avid Packers fan. And I'm a Bears fan. Go Bears. Yes. So hopefully this presentation will get off to a better start. So my goal today is to kind of help you guys put the pieces together and to learn to be smart and create a successful campaign. And so I've kind of gone back to the basics. I know many of you out there are part of a campaign already existing that's been ongoing for a long time, maybe looking for some new ideas, some restructuring, or ways to really let those good ideas that I think a lot of people have great ideas, and it's the people who take the chances to listen to us and make those ideas happen. And I think sometimes some of the campaigns across the country, and I know in the state of Illinois, struggle with that. So I'm hoping to give you guys some good, innovative ideas. A little bit about myself, as Karen mentioned, my background is really senior living. I'm a director of marketing at a senior living facility in Rockford, so not the exact person that you would think that would be heading up a campaign. I'm married and do have a 3-year-old daughter, and so I think sometimes that makes me a little bit more valuable because I do run our household and the finances and everything like that, so I think I have a lot to add. And as Karen mentioned too, I think about what Ruben said, mentioning that we're all veterans, and I have to say, this is my second year, and, but definitely that first year fell in love with Money Smart Week and being a partner and realizing the good that we do with this great opportunity we have. So I take the word smart, because I'm so smart, and help you guys with some tips to kind of break it down and how to do that. So the first thing is to really try and stay in tune with your community, how making Ben Franklin your best friend will really help your campaign. I know he's no longer with us, but doesn't mean that he can't be reincarnated a little bit to help you guys out. Addressing your local county and state governments, which seems like a basic idea, but we talk a little bit about how that will help you with your campaign. Relationship with the media is an absolute key, and I'll talk about that a little bit. And then trusting those outside your typical financial advisors. Like myself, it is a little daunting when you're in a room with all of you who really have these amazing backgrounds with helping your community and promoting such important financial literacy to somebody coming from a healthcare background and how to kind of relate to other people. And so I think having a good, broad group helping you with your campaign is definitely key. So staying in tune with your community. I think we offered great classes in Northern Illinois pertinent to what was going on in our particular community. Some examples would be car care for women. The Rockford, Winnebago County area has seen an enormous amount of foreclosures, and I know we're not alone. That's something that we've seen all over the country, listening to Dr. Lyons speak, and the statistics she gave us in the last presentation. I mean, it's something that we're all facing. To things like senior living guidance and fashion on a budget. Being strategic in your plan to reach out to your community, looking at things like what is the median age of your community, what are the average incomes of people, and really setting out to be strategic. We talk about going to networking events and really trying to pick out before you go to a networking event, who do you need to know? And so when you're planning a campaign, it's just as important to go over and be very strategic about how you make a campaign. We talk about attendance and things like that. And, if we're holding classes that aren't pertinent to our community, then we're not going to have the attendance. And I know Alejo spoke about that earlier, that we need to get in front of the people who need our help the most. And so looking at those types of things is a great way to do that. And then also Northern Illinois has had an incredible kids campaign. I'm lucky enough that Jason Holler, who's here with me today, has headed up the kids campaign, and he's actually taken on the role and hopefully will still continue to want to do that after today's talk of being the chairperson for Northern Illinois for next year, which is great. So we look at some of the pictures here, and some of the events I wanted to quickly highlight was on the top left there, you can see a great group of people who are attending a seminar about VA benefits. I think reaching out to our military men and women who are either serving currently or who are retired and looking at ways to be able to fund their next stage in life. We had another great class talk about being innovative. Growing your savings in your garden was a really well-attended event about how planning a garden and being able to harvest your food and do that throughout the year, and the cost comparison between a tomato grown out of your garden versus going to the grocery store. And even though that seems insignificant in the realm of things, how much those little savings really do add up. Rosie Rios was up here earlier speaking about that a little bit, about taking your extra change and putting it in a jar and turning that in, and might be $100 a quarter, I think is the figure she mentioned. But you look at that at the end of a year, that's $400. And if you do that over 10 years, that's a lot of money. Again, I don't work in the financial industry, so I don't know what the math number is on that. So I apologize. But at least I'm funny. So another couple of great classes. We had a tax accountant come and talk to people about organizing their financial documentation. How long do you need to keep your financial records? How long does the IRS want to go back when you're audited? God forbid that happens for any of us, but if it does, what do they want to see? How do they want to see it in the length of time? Great attended event. Shred events there too, always really important. And I have to point out the little cutie on the bottom right is my 3-year-old daughter. She was in a fashion show with her mother that I dragged her to, although she was very excited, which was one of the key events, I think, in our campaign. And I know there's another panel member that talks about that too, doing a fashion show where we had different participants. This happened to be held at a senior living facility, and having participants go to the local Goodwill and shop and show how to dress for a wedding at Goodwill. I went, and I swear I got 4 purses and 3 outfits and spent $30 and was thrilled as can be. So really a great thing to try and do in your local area. Reaching out to kids is also something that is really important for the kids campaign. Definitely reaching out to those who are homeschooled. One of the things we talk about with Money Smart Week is this is completely voluntary, and you only have the manpower of who you have on your committees and in your community to help you. So we have consistently received over 300 kids' essays since we've been doing this, and that is a manageable number. We have a good, large committee that takes and reads those essays, but trying to be creative and reach out to groups like Kiwanis, Lions, and other social groups that are already established. We talk about already established audiences. It's the same thing when we look at managing those submissions and reading them, and it's a great way then to get Money Smart Week in front of those groups. So don't be afraid to call those organizations and say, hey, you know, we have 100 essays, we really need someone to read them, and you get good help there. Being creative in our kids' essay contest is also something great. We do give a first, second, and third 529 college savings plan, but we also had Rockford Bank and Trust who offered an assembly to the school that submitted the most essays. So what a great way to get kids kind of excited, because anytime they can skip school and go to an assembly. I was the same way when I was in 5th, 6th, and 7th grade, so great way to reach out to those kids. And then there's my little Peanut again. She gets a big kick that she's going to be like in front of all of you, so I had to put her in as much as possible. It's like, where's Waldo? But talking about reaching out to kids is, it's imperative that we reach out to the kids and get them excited. And really, truly, they are excited. Doing teen financial reality fairs and things like that have been great. I'm going to kind of skip through these next couple of things pretty quickly because they're pretty cut and dried. That we utilize a Ben Franklin who dresses up for us every year, having him create buzz about Money Smart Week. As cheesy as it sounds, and don't get me wrong, I agree that it can be a little cheesy, it does create buzz, and it's something that you can utilize throughout your campaign. To rent a Ben Franklin costume costs hardly anything, and utilizing them to throw out the first pitch at a softball game or dropping the first puck at a hockey game is really a fun thing. So this is a couple pictures of Ben up in Northern Illinois hanging out with people at various events, and you know what? It is kitschy and cheesy, but it works, so try it. Addressing your local and city, county governments is also really important. Getting your proclamations from your city government. We were really lucky in Northern Illinois that reaching out to Governor Pat Quinn's office was a really great move for us. It was a great way to get the news about Northern Illinois Money Smart Week out there, and Governor Pat Quinn did declare Money Smart Week throughout the state of Illinois, and that was something that our organization did, and we were really excited about that. Relationship with the media is key. Reaching out to your local hosts and things like that. Now, I do host a little radio show in Rockford on Friday nights for an hour, and it was a really good way for me to get the word out about Money Smart Week. But also being in that seat, I know that those people are looking for somebody to come in and talk to them because it gets very boring and lonely when you're in there by yourself. So don't be afraid to call up those individuals and speak with them. Sending out regular press releases. I think many of us probably wait till that last week, and you're missing the buck. Anytime you're getting together is a really good time to set out a press release and let them know what you're up to. And in Northern Illinois, we actually held a press conference for the first time a few weeks before Money Smart Week and invited the media. And you can see here in a slide, we had wonderful wonderful participation, which is really great. Some of our media sponsors here that help make it possible. So you can find that in many different areas. A couple of pictures from some of the media relationships that we formed. A lot of local celebrities, and our press conference, we really got great coverage. Here's a couple of news clips that have happened over the past couple of years, and it goes on and on and on. They are hungry for news. They are hungry for stories. But if they get inundated during Money Smart Week, they're going to be a little less interested in doing 30 Money Smart Week events in the week. So use that time wisely prior to the campaign. And then also trusting those outside the norm. I am just a marketing director from healthcare, and financial literacy is something that's fairly new to me, although I do help people with that every day in my job, making sure that you really reach out to the people outside of that environment, because they really do have a lot to offer. Us people in healthcare, we love to throw parties, and we're very creative. So hang out with me in the reception. We'll show you a good time. After 5:30, after the wine is served. So just a couple of quick things in closing. It does take time to build a good, solid team. I was so lucky to follow Heidi Berardi from Family Credit Management's here today, and she was responsible for bringing Money Smart Week to the Rockford area, which has then grown to the Northern Illinois region, over 7 counties. And without her taking that initiative and bringing it to us and having us grow, we wouldn't have been so successful. So make sure you create that buzz throughout your campaign, establish a good team, remain positive. Jason, I have a little tip for you that helped me get through many days with Money Smart Week. The joke is it's Money Smart Week, but it's really like Money Smart Week, like year and not week, because you are so dedicated to it. So I have a t-shirt that I wore under my clothes, kind of like Superman did, that said, "I love Money Smart Week." And so I'm going to be passing that to you at our first partner meeting for you to wear under your clothes. And it's a good suggestion because it does help, and it makes you feel like you're Superwoman in my case, man in yours. And just have fun. Remember, you're volunteering. You're out there to help your community, and that's really what the most important thing is, and we all need to remember that. So thank you for having me.
Hey y'all, I'm Susan LaFew, and I'm not from around here. Y'all talk really fast. I'm gonna try to do the same to get through these slides in a quick manner. My name's Susan LaFew, and I'm with the AARP Foundation, which is the nonprofit 501c3 arm of AARP, which is a membership organization for people age 50 and up. And in AARP Foundation, we do community outreach to people who are vulnerable and generally lower income senior citizens. And we focus on 4 different areas, which are hunger, isolation, housing, and income. So Money Smart Week is a really great fit with our income team and with the outreach work that we're doing. In West Virginia, we have one Money Smart Week coalition for the entire state, which sounds like it's really big, but our entire state has 1.7 million people. Chicago probably has more than that, or close. I live in the biggest city most of the time. It has less than 50,000 people in it. Our football stadium in the University City of Morgantown has 65,000 capacity. So on home game days, it becomes the largest city in the state. So if that gives you an idea of our backdrop. So I'm going to talk about 3 different events that we have done in West Virginia. And these are events that we've done by combining with partners, because none of the partner organizations that came to the Money Smart Week Coalition really had the resources to be able to pull off events on their own. And when I first started talking with Alejo about Money Smart Week, part of the good and the bad is people were having lots of events, but some of those events weren't well attended. As Ruben was saying, you don't want to be speaking to one person if you can help it. And so when we got Money Smart Week off the ground, what we decided to do the first year, which was 2010, was take all the partners and combine together to do one big event. We pooled our resources. Some folks could give money, some folks could give in-kind donations, some folks could utilize their database of members. And so we pooled all of our resources together to come up with a financial literacy summit in Charleston. And so we have continued that model every year since. The first year, we held it at the Civic Arena, and we had about 600 people in attendance. We had different tracks. We had a consumer education track with financial literacy activities. We had a professional track. We got some organizations like the State Bar to do a continuing education seminar, which brought some of the legal professionals in. The next year, we added some tweaks to it. We turned the professional track into its own event. And then we added some givebacks for the consumers that came. One thing that we found, particularly in targeting the 50 and up population through AARP Foundation, is folks don't know, they've never seen their credit report before. They don't know how to get it, they don't know how to do it. So we offered free credit reports at the event. In 2012, we added the consumer protection theme. We partnered for the first time with the CFPB. We had several different officials from the CFPB participate, and we split it up, and we had the financial literacy activities in different parts of the state. We split it up into some smaller activities. And then last year, we enlisted some new partners, including the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond, which was strange to me. We're not in the Chicago Fed area. So when we wanted to start Money Smart Week, we called Alejo going, hey, we're not in your area, but can you tell us what to do? And he and Tiffany have been great. And it took a few years to get our Fed in Richmond on board. But they're on board now, and they're great, and they're working with us, so they really brought a lot to the table last year. And so there's a picture of some of the events we've had. We've got, you recognize Skip Humphrey, who is from the older American section of the CFPB. He came to one of our events, and some crowd shots. And of course, we have Ben Franklin, who, our Ben Franklin has been with us since day one. He is a retired Catholic priest. And when he gets in character, he stays in character. We have to go pick him up to drive him to all the events because Ben Franklin didn't drive a car. But he's awesome. He's great sharing the words of wisdom. So just one tip is if you have different groups that want to do something, and instead of maybe having 10 or 20 smaller events with a handful of people, if you pool your resources, you can really pull off a bigger event that would draw a lot more people to your table. The second thing I wanted to talk about was Military Money Boot Camp. West Virginia has a very high percentage of veterans, a very high percentage of people in the National Guard, and so we wanted to do some outreach to our military folks. And so we basically just called up our National Guard and said, hey, we want to do this. Can you help us? What would you want to see for your folks? And so they opened up the National Guard Armory. We partnered with FINRA, with their military department. We partnered with Better Business Bureau, a bunch of different partners. And so we had a big event at the National Guard Armory, and it was a half-day educational event. We had, I'll show you some photos here. This was our invitation, which we used online, and we emailed it, and then the folks in the military mailed it out to their team. So it talked about Military Money Boot Camp. They could come to the Armory and get financial ed information. And this is a picture of what it looked like. We've done it 2 years now, and this year we recorded it, we video recorded it, and we're going to edit it into webinars that they can use over and over again to share with the military folks. So those are two things I wanted to talk about, but the main one that I wanted to talk about is something new that we started last year, and it's called Telephone Town Hall Technologies. And we struggled with the West Virginia Money Smart Coalition, like many of you struggle, is you have an event somewhere and people have to come to you. And we have a lot of folks in West Virginia who live in very rural, isolated communities, or they lack transportation. And these are the folks that we need to reach the most. These are the folks that are going to get taken advantage of by the scam artists, which is going to hurt their income. They're going to lose their money. And so these are the folks we wanted to reach. And a lot of our Money Smart Week Coalition partners wanted to reach these folks as well. The CFPB, FINRA, a bunch of our partners wanted to help. And so we found this technology, telephone town hall technology. And basically, you have a town hall meeting over the telephone, and thousands of people can be on the telephone at the same time. It's live, it's not pre-recorded. Thousands of outbound telephone calls go out at once. People are sitting at home, they don't know it's coming, they answer the phone, they hear, hey, we're getting ready to start a live town hall meeting, stay on the line. If they stay on the line, it's as if they're listening to a radio show. If you've heard the Dave Ramsey radio show or some of those financial literacy radio shows, it's just as if you're listening to that. You've got a panel of experts who are talking about financial education issues or consumer protection issues, and the folks are listening in real time. They also have the opportunity to ask questions. They can push *3 on their keypad. They don't go automatically live, thank goodness. They go to a screener, and we just have some folks on our staff that went through the half-hour training to learn how to screen. It's super easy, and they will tell the screener what their name is, where they're from, and what they intend to ask if they make it through onto the live Q&A section of the town hall meeting. And the beauty of it is people don't have to come to you. You're going to them with your message of financial literacy, and the hosts and the experts can be anywhere. We did one for our military folks. We did it with the CFPB. We had Holly Petraeus, who runs the service member section of CFPB. She was in Washington. We had Senator Rockefeller, who chairs the Veterans Coalition. We had folks from FINRA who were in Washington. We had experts who were in different places. We had folks in West Virginia, and it all happened at one time, and the people listening had absolutely no idea that we weren't all in the same room together, because you can't tell. It sounds like a radio show. They can last from 60 to 90 minutes, and so you can share a lot of pertinent information. If you want to host one, the technology that's needed is a computer and a phone. That's it. That's all you need to do. This is a sample of the control screen, and so what you'll get to see is who has pressed *3 on their keypad, who wants to ask a question, what that question is going to be, and then if there are any notes. The notes field is really important because you can have a good call and you can have a interesting call. And there's a chat box you'll notice over on the left where if the panelists are in different locations, you can send notes to each other. Somebody in Washington can tell the person who's moderating the radio show, hey, I want to take the question from Betty. You know, it's the third question down. I'm ready to take that one. Let's do it. And so the moderator will go, well, let's go to Betty. You know, we've done this probably now 20, 25 times, and it's reached thousands of people. And you know, that many partners can be involved. The technology is user-friendly. Typically what will happen is you'll have somebody open the show, say, we're going to talk about financial education today, we're going to talk about financial literacy, or scams targeting people over age 50, or healthcare fraud, or whatever the topic may be. You can choose who you want to target. There are companies from which you can obtain these lists of the outgoing calls. They scrub it against the do not call list, and you can pick your demographics. You can pick age 25 to 30, who are single, who live in these zip codes. I mean, you can arrange it any way you want to reach any demographic that you want. And so you've got your audience, the phone call goes out, they're listening online, the moderator introduces the panel of experts, they each give a talk about their organization or a little blurb about financial literacy or consumer protection, whatever they want to talk about. And then you say, all right, and now we're going to go to the phone because you've been telling them to hit *3 and they've gone into the screening panel. And a great call would be, you know, oh, we're talking about healthcare fraud, and we see that Betty has a question about diabetic testing supplies. Let's go to Betty. And Betty says, hi, you know, yeah, I got this phone call the other day and somebody wanted to send me some free diabetic testing supplies and I wasn't sure if it's a scam, what should I do? And then you go to the Medicare expert on the phone and they talk with Betty. That's a great call. That's how you want it to go. 75, 80% of the time, that's how it goes. About 5% of the time, the people get on the air and they say, well, I just told somebody what my question was. Why am I telling you? Because they've told the screener. And you explain to them when you bring them back. And then every now and then you just get, you just get the one where, oh, let's go to Betty with her call about diabetic testing supplies. Betty? And she'll go, yes. Tell us your story. Well, it was Tuesday and my friend Elmer came over and Well, I think it was Tuesday because that's double coupon day down at the Kroger. And they're not going to do those double coupons anymore. They've announced that in the newspaper. And you go, well, Betty, can you get to your question? You were with your friend Elmer. Yeah, and we were watching Jeopardy. That Alex Trebek, he has shaved his mustache. And we just don't like watching that now that he's shaved his mustache. But you got to try to bring him around. And sometimes it takes little help. My favorite one of all time, true story, the guy had been screened, but several callers had gone before him, so it took a while until we got to him on the air. And we got to him on the air, Bob, tell us about your question about estate planning. And he goes, we said, did you have a question about estate planning? Let's go to Bob in Dunbar. And Bob, he goes, well, I did have a question about estate planning, but I've been sitting here waiting to get on the air, and I've been looking at this LL Bean catalog. And it occurred to me that I get a lot of these LL Bean catalogs, and I've never ordered anything from LL Bean. And can you all tell me how I can get off this mailing list for the LL Bean catalog? And our moderator took it and talked him through looking in the middle of the catalog and the customer service number, and so we got Bob squared away with his catalog. But there are a lot of features of it. Once you get through the Q&A and the information sharing, there are some really cool features of it. You can take polls, you can ask questions, they can push a number on their keypad to answer. At the end of the call, they can stay on the line and leave you a voicemail message so you can follow up with them. The cost is reasonable compared to the cost of maybe hosting a big event or doing a postal mailing, and it's a great way to share information with lots of people where you get to them where they are. They don't have to come to you. So we recommend it, and we'll be happy to tell you how to pull one off if you want to at the reception. Great.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lori Peterson. I am work out of Bloomington, Illinois, but in my job I cover St. Louis and then the Central Illinois area. So I've been involved with Money Smart since I think we backed it into 2005. I came to an initial breakfast up here in Chicago for one of their events. Got excited about it, managed to get Alejo down to Peoria, and we brought Money Smart Week into the Central Illinois region, and it's kind of snowballed a little bit since then. So though my discussion is going to be about St. Louis primarily, you might hear Peoria, Champaign, Decatur, Springfield, Bloomington, because I've been involved in all of those and still am to a certain extent just because of my job. And we have staff involved in almost all of those markets, and a little bit in Rockford, but not too much. I do not have the speaking skills these other three do, and I've already marked off a whole bunch of things that they've talked about. But my goal here really was not to talk so much about specific programs, so I will bring up a couple of those, but just about what I feel particularly since I've seen 4 or 5 campaigns start up. What I think is effective in starting a campaign, and then what will help, what I feel has helped reinvigorate some of them or to keep them going. So that's really where I wanted to focus. So most of my talk's going to just be on this one screen. I plagiarized my co-chair from St. Louis, Debbie Irwin, who was here. That actually is her quote right in the middle of the screen. She sent that in an email the other day to somebody that we were talking to at the treasurer's office in Missouri, because he wanted to know what Money Smart Week was and how we were handling it. And I think this is what makes St. Louis Money Smart a little more unique than many of the others, because there is a group through the United Way of St. Louis, the Greater United Way of St. Louis. Debbie is in charge of financial stability, and we have she has a group which is the Financial Education Collaborative. So we already have in place a very, very strong and interested group of people that want to work with the communities to increase financial education in the area. There are in that the Financial Education Collaborative, there are 152 partners. And we found that at any quarterly meeting that Debbie has, there's at least 40, and we've been running that in our Money Smart Week meetings to about 40 people. So we have a great advantage there, that there is someone who is focused on financial education and that we already have that base in place. It has made a world of difference than just starting fresh or starting from, frankly, from a banker's perspective, trying to start a group up. So this is great. It's nonprofits, it's government, it's bankers. There are some for-profits that have shown up at some of the meetings besides the banks. It's just a good group of people to work with. And I think what makes it important is that because we are able to embed Money Smart Week into that collaborative, it's part of a bigger plan. So we have a focus, and we are using Money Smart Week as a project within that group to continue to work with the clients that the different groups want to work with. Where do I want to go from that? When we started Money Smart Week in St. Louis, it was 3 years ago, and it started as a test. This was without the United Way, and frankly, it was just on the east side of the river. We were still in Illinois. I had been involved with various Money Smart Week groups. The Treasurer of Illinois' office was very involved with Money Smart, so we test marketed it in the metro area. So Metro East is 3 to 5 counties on that side, depending on who you're talking to. Very large geographic area for very few, a smaller population. So it was a little difficult to work, but it gave us enough impetus and we saw enough interest that we were able to move this over. So this is really, we've only had 2 years that St. Louis, Greater St. Louis has had Money Smart Week, and so we're headed into our 3rd year. I've moved off a co-chair, and we've moved someone else into that. I think that is the second thing that has made St. Louis work well and is continuing to work well, is because we have the nonprofit sector and the private bank sector both as co-chairs. It gives everybody it gives different perspectives to going about the same project. You got your bankers, you got your bankers. We've got this goal. We want to, make everybody bankable. We want to do a lot of things, but by bringing in that nonprofit piece and keeping that the focus, we're just able to embed and embrace the community programs that are already out there, and that's, I think, really important too. We are taking the programs to the communities that need it. We are focusing on low and moderate income primarily, though it is open to everybody as Money Smart Week is. But we have that focus, that core focus there. If we're doing programs, we are making sure that we have programs that are available in every region. We're trying to nail it down to zip codes, but right now we're going by counties. Last year our goal was to increase our counties. We had only hit 5 of the counties the year prior. Last year we hit 9. I think we're going to try for 12 this year, just as we expand that St. Louis area. So we're using Google Maps to do that. The St. Louis Fed has helped on that piece where they're tracking, and we're bringing maps to our meetings so that we can see where we're doing programs, what types of programs we're doing. It gives us some regionality and some geography to work with. This year they're looking at all sorts of new things because we've gone to a year-round strategy now. We have a strategic planning in place. They're meeting I'm trying to think how many times we've met, but about once a month there's a group meeting to just talk about our strategies, what we're going to do this next year. We're drilling down to the cities and the counties. We're going to team leaders for each of these different counties so that they can say, in our county, we need to find venues. That's where the libraries are coming in. We need to make sure that we are covering these core classes because this is our clients that are out there. And that team leader then is going to be responsible for finding the locations, the organizations, and the clients that we can bring these programs to. Don't know if it'll work, but we're willing to try it. And I think that is what is going to keep the St. Louis Money Smart Week going and invigorated, is because very, very open to change. I came in, I'd been doing Money Smart Week crossed here. I've been following the Chicago format. It's worked beautifully. I tend to get stuck in without, oh, we did this last year, so why can't we do it this year? That's where you run into the problem if you just keep repeating itself. This group in St. Louis that loves change. They're trying different things, and I think every year we're going to see them trying new things, and that's very cool because you can just, that's how you reach the people. You don't have the organizations doing basic banking 101 every year and wondering why they don't have anybody showing up to it. We just have to keep trying to change that for everybody. So that's the direction they're going there with that. And it is a collaborative. That's the other thing that I have to always remind myself. It's not my program. You know, I might have been the chair for a couple of years, but if people didn't like what I was doing or if they had other suggestions, it isn't my decision to, no, we're not going to do that. You know, it's a collaborative. That's when you have a room full of 40 people, sometimes it's like herding, you know, well, monkeys, but you at least allow the discussion to occur, and then you can at least, and you can test things. Who cares if it doesn't work? You know, if you try it and it was okay, then you just don't do it the next year. This should be fluid, and it should change as the needs of your community change, and it should change as the partners change. It's all good. As long as we continue to do this every year, it's always a good thing. So, you know, we've embedded it. We're trying to strategize a little different. We're trying to make sure we continue to focus on that low and moderate income group that so needs the help, but allowing, if that isn't what they want to work with, that's fine. You know, learning's good. You know, as long as we're teaching people, there are enough people in St. Louis that can teach classes that they can teach what they want. As long as we continue to focus and making sure we're offering programs for the low and mod. We are going to make sure that we have these team leaders that are open to new ideas and not be offended if someone suggests something for them. And then we're trying to continue to use our current alliances. So we're asking, you know, Susie, you work at the Community Action Agency. Don't you have a group that needs us to come in, that needs additional teaching? Are there programs, are there things that your clients need that they're not getting because you do not have the staff? We can always find teachers. I don't think anyone in this room could say that they have an issue in finding the teachers. It's finding the commitment of a group to pull this all together and to take the time to find the people that you can offer these programs to that might have an interest to it. The teachers we can usually locate. So just going out there and asking these alliances, hey, we already work with you every week or every month on X, Y, and Z. How would you like some special programming during April, that first month? How many places are going to say no to that? So you can just take your programs that you have and you can expand on them. Same with the media that you already use, talking to them, that's been brought up. You know, radio shows are dying for people to come on. Those morning shows, if you're willing to get up at 4 a.m., they're going to let you on for a minute and a half to talk about Money Smart Week. So, you know, take advantage of those. Just either get them on your committees or continue to talk to them. In St. Louis, we have a wonderful partnership with the St. Louis American, a very large, primarily focused on African Americans. I think they have 60,000 readership. They are a media partner of ours that is just wonderful. You know, we had I think it was 12-page insert this last time for almost free. They almost practically gave it to us, but it gives us the opportunity to put a calendar in and to write articles and just reach a whole group that we might not be able to reach with TV or even just the general newspaper. It reaches the target market we want. So look for that free media. Look for the clients. Worry about the classes later. If someone needs a class and you don't have the program to teach it, I'll bet you there's someone in your group that does. So just, sure, we can do that. You'll find someone that can do it. That's not the issue. It's just pulling the whole group together. I could wander on, and I have a tendency to bounce around, but I won't do that at this point. How do I move? Oh. Which button did you just hit?
This one.
This one there. Okay, thank you. Nope. Hit my mouse.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. All right, so we've talked about this. Mix it up a little bit. These are some different programs we've done rather than just the classic, credit, checking, investments. We did a train the trainer this last year. Our nonprofits need and bank people need to know how to teach. So we did using the FDIC Money Smart curriculum. Resume writing, doing lunch and learns where you've got economists coming in and talking to either the executive directors from nonprofits or your small business owners. They need to learn those kind of things. Sandwich economics was a big one this year, talking to that group that's the tweens, they're taking care of the kids, they're taking care of their parents. Just looking for different things to catch people's eye and bring them to it. We talked about taking advantage of internal partners, and my bank has a very strong partnership with Sesame Workshops, so I have the luxury of being able to bring Cookie in or Elmo or whoever. So we were able to take this 2 programs we already had and just expand on it that year. So we were able to get Cookie in there to talk about spending, well, he didn't talk, but spending, saving, and sharing with the Head Start kids. And this is an annual program that we do with these kids every year during Money Smart Week. Thinking outside the box. I have that staff like all bankers do. They might not necessarily be comfortable talking to groups about learning how to use checking accounts, but my wealth management group loves to talk to women business owners. So we were able to do a program that, and we took it outside the bank, did something a little more fun with that. This is some of our advertising that we did in St. Louis. We used bus tails, we used bus signs. We haven't done any focused advertising right now. We're in that general media time period since we've only been at it for 2 or 3 years now. Someone already talked about the Goodwill Fashion Show. This was a program that we did in Peoria. Again, working with workforce development groups, bringing in the GED classes. We had a wonderful fashion show with Goodwill items that the clients actually got to purchase and do the fashion show. It was a great program. And again, ask. No, if someone's, it can't hurt you to ask for something. And this is a Champaign situation where we were able to get interior bus signs for $67. They gave us a slot, we just had to print them. Okay, we printed them. So just keeping your eyes open for opportunities, for media, for places to work, you're good. Thank you. See you in 2014.
Oops, sorry. Well, hi, everybody. You guys have been sitting for an hour, a little more than an hour. We're going to take a 10-second break. Everybody stand up, stretch, make a fist, shake out all the stiffness, take a deep breath. Yeah, everybody wake up a little bit. I hope. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Awesome. I'm so glad to hear that, because I don't want to put anybody to sleep. All right, have a seat, and now you're all awake again, right? Just a few seconds, just enough to stretch a little bit. My name's Lori Burgess. I work at the Fond du Lac Public Library in Wisconsin, and I'm going to talk a little, mostly what we do in Fond du Lac, which is going to kind of touch on what all of our panelists talked about. You will see a copy of my slides in the little trifold brochure that you all got at the break. So if you'd like to follow along or tell me I missed something, go ahead and do that. So just so you can compare your community, We've been hosting Money Smart Week since 2007. We've held everywhere from 20 events to 120 events, and we've had the very numbers in from 0 to over 100. Yeah, we've been there too. We, as a library, we also received a Smart Investing grant at your library, and we did weekly financial programs between 2 years of Money Smart. So that was a lot of fun. Some of our most successful adult programs, most recently in the last 2 years, we've done a women's conference, half day, Saturday morning. Registration, we do ask for pre-registration. We keep it cost low, $5, just enough so that if people paid, they're more likely to show up. You know, we have goodie bags for them. We went to our dollar store and we bought little notebooks one year, and the year before we had coupon organizers, and we printed off stickers, Money Smart Week stickers, and we just slapped them on and voila. Okay, we do everything on a shoestring in Fond du Lac because we don't have the money. So yeah, just like everybody else. At the Women's Conference and even at the library, some of our most successful programs, there's a homemaker in Madison, Wisconsin that saved over $40,000 in less than 1 year just by cutting back, couponing, meal planning, doing all that fun stuff. And she's a pretty good speaker, so we had her 1 year. Last year we had an eBay and Craigslist class of how do you sell your stuff? What should you look for? It was presented by librarians, you know, because they happen to use eBay and Craigslist a lot. And it was a huge hit. We had to have several more sessions at the library in addition to the session at the Women's Conference. We've also had upcycling when I'm 65 about Medicare and Medicaid, because, you know, when you hit 65, I guess it's a magic number. Estate planning, when you're a senior and have adult kids, or we also have had estate planning when you're a parent of minors. Just to, you know, you're in a little bit different stage of life, so we kind of broke that out a little bit, and it's been really successful for us. The first year that we were in Money Smart Week, we had programs all over the place at the library. They were all throughout the week. Some were in the morning, some in the afternoon, some in the evening, and I got worn out because I tried to be there for everything, which, as you all know, does not work. So we've discovered that if we plan them in succession, people stay. Oh, wow. Golly, I'm so glad we thought of that, because now it's so much easier. You set up the room once and we're good to go all morning. And people will stay. So that's, you know, you can design the topics so that if you think seniors are going to come to visit the library and stay for a couple of hours, then you can have workshops that would appeal to that audience. We're also very active in Money Smart Week for kids. We've held essay contests, YouTube contests, guessing contests just on the desk at the library, and we've also had a dollar design for elementary school kids. That's probably one of my favorites, because kids, you know, design a dollar. It has to say United States of America on it somewhere. And just let them go. So just like the art contest with the shreds, we saw a lot of everything, and it was really fun to put those up on a bulletin board in the library just to get kids thinking and being creative about money. Like one of the other panelists said, we have been fortunate enough to give out 529 accounts, so our prizes have been very nice. You know, we always like that. And at the library, we always have children's programs. I mean, if you look at our weekly calendar, it is packed full. We do story times 6 times a week. So having a big family day that was about money, that's just something we do. And you know, financial people find that really incredible. Well, I find it incredible that you can teach about credit reports and stuff, because that's not where my expertise is. But for children's librarians, doing a story time is just a daily occurrence. So thankfully, one of our neighbor Money Smart Week coalitions had come up with the idea of doing a big read, and it has grown substantially in the last few years. And so now each year we pick a book, and thankfully Teresa's here today with the State of Wisconsin Department of Financial Institutions Office of Financial Literacy, and it's a huge big mouthful, but they came up with the idea of budgeting $5,000 out of their budget, and they buy little books for the libraries in the state, whoever wants them, to hand out at story time. And I have to tell you, giving a kid a book is awesome. And that's what us librarians kind of live for. So if someone comes and says, oh yeah, you know, how many books do you want? We'll buy them for you and you can give them to your kids. Sign me up, okay? Golly, so they've been very generous, and $5,000 for us, because we're buying in such a large quantity for all of the libraries in the state, we are able to buy like 2,000 copies of the book, and now 2,000 families have a kid's book that they can call their own. That's a huge deal for our low and moderate income families, that they have a book of their own. So in recognition of that, we made a little sticker. We call them book plates in the library land. And we just put them right on the cover that this book was purchased by the state in honor of Money Smart Week. Great PR for them. Doesn't impede the library. You know, yes, it's a logo, but the libraries are fine with it because we're giving it away, and that's what we like to do. And so those are a lot of our programs, our most successful programs. Just some reminders. These are kind of the details, the everyday things, which you guys probably already know, but Alejo said there might be some new people here as well. We found that cookies and water are nice, especially if we're planning programs for 9, 10, 11. Buy the cheap cookies. They don't care. You know, go to Walmart, get, you know, the big package for $2. That's all they want. Just something to snack on, you know. And so then you look really good and didn't cost you much. For filling out your surveys, we offer the chance to be in a drawing. So if you attend one of our sessions, you hand us a survey at the end of the session, we'll hand you an entry form. And our committee goes out, buys a $25 Association of Commerce gift certificate that can be used at most businesses around the city. And at the end of the week, we do a drawing. Yeah, it costs us $25, but we have a huge return rate. Okay? And we also made thank you cards. So we just took the logo, put it on a sheet of paper, you know, put a nice color, and we handwrite. The committee gets together after Money Smart Week, and we handwrite, thank you for participating in Money Smart Week. We had this many people attend our sessions. We hope to see you next year. Simple as that. Yes, it cost us postage, but come on, it's a nice touch for anybody to get a handwritten thank you note. I've mentioned our team a couple of times, and we've kind of got it down. There's a core of us now, and some of the things that we have found work well for us, the instructors come from the financials, hands down, because that's their expertise. Lawyers, estate planning, yeah, that's great for them. The story times we have librarians do because that's what they do every day. So they have one about money. Okay, instead of colors, instead of numbers, it's about money. It's all just fine. The library has been a great place for the event. Our first year, we tried having it at the local mall in an empty storefront. The mall, let us use that space for a day. And we found that people were really uncomfortable going there, learning about a financial topic, because people would walk by and say, oh, who needed that kind of help? Yeah. And so people were uncomfortable with that. But the library is an open place. They don't have to be a customer of a specific bank. It's just a very neutral meeting place. And getting attendees and our press releases and promotional items are just distributed by all. So that has worked really well, and we'll continue to do that. Because for us, it's all about the synergy. We now, the people on the planning committee, the people who regularly come to our Money Smart Week programs, recognize the instructors throughout the year. I get stopped monthly saying, oh, hey, I'm thinking about Money Smart Week by a library patron. Really? I'm not thinking about it all year long, but he is. So, all right, good, that's great. And partnering looks good for everybody, when it looks like we're using our money well. One thing that I want to encourage you all to do is spread the word about Money Smart Week. Not just to us, not just to the general public, but within your region and within your peer groups. We started because Sheboygan mentored us. So a neighboring town came over one year and held our hand through the process. A neighboring community to us the other way started because they were involved with our committee, and so she kind of knew what to expect the first year, and she started it in her city. Attendees will spread the word. Word of mouth is awesome advertising. And as was mentioned earlier, I started talking about it at a regional library meeting, at a state library meeting, what great success we were having, and ALA got wind of that, and Michael and Alejo are both in Chicago. They did all the work. I just was talking about it, So it's kind of a Money Smart Week phenomenon that you'll be talking about it and something awesome will come out of that. And I see other people shaking their heads. It just happens, okay? So I'd like to thank you, and thanks for stretching a little bit. And I think we're gonna talk a little bit.
So I get to ask the first questions, but after that, it's kind of a free-for-all. I know that we have a few people in the room who are new chairpersons. I know there's not a lot of you, but there's several. And I thought you've got a group of people here that might have some tips. And so this is the one question they knew in advance was coming. I asked them to think about what would be the one piece of advice that they would share with somebody who's coming in as a new chairperson. And whoever wants to speak first, just jump in.
I'll start. I think I'm lucky enough, as I mentioned, that my predecessor is here. And, I think each campaign has its own struggles and has its own strengths. And for me, being able to ask for help from people that have done it before. There were times where, you're up till 11 o'clock at night reading through kids' essays and things like that. And there were times where I guess I felt like I should have just asked for help. I should have known where the limits are, because I think the main focus is about going out and helping your community, and I feel like sometimes getting caught up in the details can be a little tough. So ask for help, because people are willing to help. You don't have to do it all by yourself. So I'll help you, Jason, I promise. This is being video recorded, so there's proof.
I think that's excellent advice. Ask for help. For years, literally, I wanted to have a shred fest thing at the library, but I knew we couldn't afford to have a truck and come. you know, that's not in the library's budget kind of thing. So we had a financial partner who said, oh, well, we can cover that. We'll pay for that. So I called the shredding company. They gave us 2 hours free. Well, had I known that, I would have been calling 3 years ago. So ask. You know, people say no, but for Money Smart Week, people say yes a lot.
Lori was talking in her presentation about reaching out to even non-traditional partners, people you wouldn't think of. And if you talk it up in the community, you might get help coming from places that you wouldn't expect. As part of one of our big consumer universities, one year we gave the folks the credit report, but we wanted to teach our senior citizens, how do you get online? How do you find that yourself? How do you go to socialsecurity.gov? How do you go to medicare.gov, aarp.org? How do you get there? And then we thought, well, how are we going to get a room full of folks? A local university loaned us computers to have a computer lab. High school computer class, their class came and sat with our senior citizens. Each one there was one young student for every 2 senior citizens to teach them how to get online. And it turned out to be really fun, that intergenerational thing. It was a blast. So you can find partners in places you wouldn't even think of just by talking it up in the community.
And you should find those high school students, because coming from somebody that works in senior living, combination of senior citizen and computer work is not an easy task, so they should definitely be commended. Tough job.
I just also think that, you know, particularly in a new campaign, don't feel that you have to have 100 programs or 125 and you have to hit numbers. The goal really that first year is to find your group, the group that can help you, and just do some quality programming. If you can set that base, then you have something to work with going forward.
Something that I think has helped us out a lot is you need vision. You need to know where you're going. You need to know what that objective you're striving for is. Don't just plan to plan. Don't just say, let's see what happens, because anything could happen, and then you'll be happy with the result. You need to know where you're going. You need to know how to get from A to B, have vision, and surround yourself with the right people. That is very important. There's a lot of people want to help out, but unfortunately, some people are just do the contrary, you know? Let's be honest about that. And they drain you, you know? So find the right people. Find people that have your passion, you know? Hey, you like to help out? You know, this is what I do. Join my team. Jump on board. And they will make your life so much easier. So I'd say have vision and surround yourself with the right people.
Sounds like a lot of good advice in that couple of minutes there. So let's open it up to the rest of you. What questions do you have for these 5 great people up here? Ed.
So, Ruben, great job on the run. And you mentioned cost,
Thank you.
But what was the cost, if you could share that?
That's
organizing cost.
That's a really good question. I think it was about $2,000. It's expensive to put on a race like that, and I didn't know. But I'll be honest with you, we didn't make any money. We made like $200, more or less. But I think what we were looking for is not a revenue per se, but we wanted to create awareness. We wanted people to know about the run, to know about Money Smart Week, to know about our classes, and that was our goal. These runs can be expensive, but there's a lot of people that like to run, so you'll be fine, I think.
Okay, let's go over here for our next question.
Just to dovetail on the run situation, we were fortunate,
Jackie Hoyer with Houston Money Week, that one of our organizations that we partnered with, which was the national chapter of Hispanic real estate professionals. They were having a 5K run. So I said, wow, this is great. Why don't we do this together? So they did all the legwork. They paid for everything. They did the course. We provided a on-site remote radio station. We had our Ben Franklins there. We had people from the Fed running, and it turned out to be a great event. They gave us money, the coalition, the money, or the collaborative, or whatever you want to call it, that they made off of it, plus another nonprofit in town, and we're going to do it again as our kickoff event this year.
Very
Well,
cool.
2014.
Very cool. Another question. In the back, Heidi.
Hi, I'm Heidi with Family Credit Management out of Chicago, and we're actively involved in the Northern Illinois campaign. And this I'm going to throw out to Ruben and to Lori. Okay, so for many, many years, we've been grassroots, and we've been really successful. Each year we grow, and every year at the end, I think to myself, how many more people could have we reached if we would have done marketing, like we had donations and we like paid advertising per se, like what Bloomington does. So what would be your best practices advice on paid advertising when you get those funds from your donors? Who houses those funds, and then who writes those checks, and are there any issues as far as who decides how the money is spent?
I'm lucky to have Heidi on my team because she's awesome. So good question.
Well, I know from Peoria and Bloomington, that was probably Aleo's first panic when he realized we were getting cash from groups, because, the concern is that, we're not a nonprofit, we're not a real group, we're a collaborative, so how do you manage that? So we manage it through a nonprofit fiscal agents in the different areas. Like in St. Louis, the Greater United Way handles it, but in Bloomington, we used one of the nonprofit partners volunteered to be the fiscal agent. And then we just do dual accounting on it. The money comes into the chair documents it, moves it to the the fiscal agent. So you have two people kind of managing that money, and you're not talking a lot. Well, you are talking a lot of money. I mean, it depends how you think about it, but that seems to have worked very well, and we've never had a problem with getting a nonprofit to volunteer to do that for us. The other advantage, of course, that too is because then if it's a bank, I can do a sponsorship or a donation to a nonprofit, so I can donate it to the fiscal agent, and it frees up money for marketing that you might not have otherwise.
And we do it the same way. Yeah. So sorry. Sorry, I can't add anything more. We do the same thing.
I actually want to chime in on this because the first time I heard that because I came from the Chicago program where there really isn't any fundraising, or to the extent that anybody's, doing sponsoring things, Alejo and Tiffany handle that, and I was clueless. So suddenly I'm in the role of Illinois state coordinator, and I'm out, in the regional campaigns and finding out that the groups are raising money, and then somebody says to me, well, how does that work? And I'm like, daggone if I know, I'll try to find out. So I go and ask, and they say, well, you find a nonprofit that'll serve as your fiscal agent, and the money goes through them, and they give you a report, and it's all cool. And I'm like, it can't be that easy. But apparently it really is. So I'm glad you asked, Heidi, because that's a question I think a lot of campaigns have wrestled with.
Heidi, I think the biggest issue with it, and Melissa and I were talking about this earlier, is if you're doing that and you're collecting money to do marketing, you need someone that knows how to market. And that is probably the hardest thing when you have a group, Money Smart Week group. Do you have someone on the team that knows how to talk to TV people and radio people, and how do you negotiate the spots? That's out of my hands. So I have been lucky enough to always be in groups that have had that. But that's a key piece. Otherwise, you end up with a lot of money and you really don't know how to spend it effectively. So.
Other
Hi.
question.
I'm Amber, and I'm with Financial Fitness Greater Dallas. I'm one of the co-chairs. A question for the panel. we have a kind of a difficult time getting surveys collected appropriately. Can you kind of give us some ideas on what you guys have done, if y'all have come up with any really unique strategies in order to get that data collected? It's so important for us kind of as a newer coalition to have those surveys and to have that feedback so that we can go out and really market to sponsors the following years. And so we were hoping that maybe we could get some feedback from you guys and some more experienced people with this.
Can you clarify if it's collecting surveys from the actual classroom
From the classes, from the classes and from the events, not just anywhere from demographics to income to why you're in this class, what do you want to learn more about, where you are financially, any of that information.
Go ahead. Okay. Something that we do is we have one person on our team solely dedicated to bugging people, and that's Anita Warner, and she is awesome. We have about a 90 or 95% return rate on our surveys, and so we compile a lot of information. And thanks to, I'm sorry, your name, Gina. Oh my gosh, Gina's been our partner for years. I just blanked out. I'm sorry, Gina. She's from the FDIC. She's awesome. She is the one that compiles all of our information, and it just, there's nobody that can do it better. So if you want her business...
I wish you weren't so good at getting the surveys.
I'm sorry?
I said I wish you weren't so good at getting your surveys.
Oh, I know. We just give her a whole stack here, Gina. Yeah. It's something something new that we want to try this year is to hopefully reach that 100% return rate. Sorry, Gina, is at the end of the class have a raffle. So whoever turns in their survey is eligible for a raffle to be held during that class. And this is small stuff, gift cards, coupons, free pizza from a local franchise, things like that. So
now, when you said you have one person that bugs people, do they bug all of the instructors to make sure to get them?
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
The instructors.
Yeah, because as you know, it's a two-pronged process. Mm-hmm. The instructor first has to pass it out.
Yes.
And the way you get that done is by good communication with your presenters beforehand. But then the second part is, after they get passed out and collected, actually by the presenter, actually getting them back to wherever they're getting entered. And different places may have different systems on that. Because, for instance, here in Illinois, our stuff goes into SurveyMonkey, and so usually it might be the presenter who sits down and enters it. It might be the partner who that presenter is tied in with. It might be the chairperson. So it kind of varies from place to place.
Mm-hmm. And I think to dovetail on that, too, for us, we have an incredibly good response rate, and I think doing really good education as a chairperson, making sure you educate your partners when you're talking, because honestly, these surveys, I know everybody thinks surveys are kind of ridiculous, but they're not. That gives you the tools that you need to know who your demographic is, what is valuable. It really allows you to look at what classes are really successful, and it really helps measure your success with a campaign. The other thing that we do is we have different banks in town offer to collect the surveys. So sometimes getting them back from the partners in past has been difficult, but now we have maybe 3 different local or national banks that have locations all over town. All they have to do is pull into the drive-through window, give that banker the survey, there's a contact at the bank, and then all of those surveys get dropped off to our kickoff committee, and we sit around the table and enter all of those in, because we're committed to getting it done, where sometimes the other partners, let's face it, we all have day jobs too, so we carve out a couple of hours and go have coffee and do that. So those are some good tips to try and get the surveys back at a higher rate.
And if you can't afford gift cards or anything like that, talk to your partners. Like, a lot of financials give out something when you open an account. There's your prize, so.
Yeah, I'm just going to add two other things that I've heard just from groups traveling around. One is something that we did in Michigan. We actually had Michigan State University Extension offer to have students input them. So this is obviously after the collection process, but actually just getting those results tallied into SurveyMonkey. They had students do it. The second, which we used to do in Chicago, which we haven't recently, is to have a presenters meeting. So, the month before Money Smart Week or a couple weeks out, have a presenters meeting. Let them know, what you're expecting from them in the class. We have an opening script that we provide that they can read so that people know it's a Money Smart Week. They know that they can't be sold products or services. And then we let them know that they should be handing out and collecting surveys, and then who to turn those surveys into after the session. So those two things are also ideas.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to add one more thing that I think contributes to El Paso's success is that their survey Nazi, to go unnamed, they put together, but she delivers a package to each instructor that has a supply of surveys, tips for presenting, and even some prizes to give away at the end of the class in one nice package. And she leaves them knowing for certain that she will be coming back for those surveys. And so it's never in question that that's going to occur. And she does collect those. She'll drive out and she'll collect the surveys, but she's also from a bank and she has, the ability to accept those surveys at any of their bank branches and things like that. But it's very clear to the instructors that here's your package, we want it back.
Okay. Great ideas. I think we've got a question in the back from Russ.
Yeah, this is for Ruben. I'm just interested, you were talking about having a captive audience, meaning that you would come and do a presentation on piggyback on somebody else's. What protocol do you use for something like that, in order for them not to get aggravated at you?
How could you get aggravated? He's so nice.
Thank you.
Well, that might be the key.
That's what works.
I think it's all in how you sell it. A huge partner that we have is a local community learning center, and they have classes, and they have classes I think 2-3 times a week. And these are folks who are getting either your GED, more education, learning how to use computers. It's mostly a low to moderate income individuals. And so we try to build a relationship with them and just offer our services. Say, we can come in, we can give a class to your class, to your classroom, free of charge, and we can talk about how to make a budget, how to balance your checkbook, how to get out of debt, how to invest wisely. And so up until now, we've never had we haven't had anybody tell us no. On the contrary, they keep calling us back after Money Smart Week. Can you guys come again? We have a new class. So it's really not hard. We actually had a problem this past year. We couldn't find enough instructors to come and teach. We had a lot of audiences. We even had churches, different churches calling us and telling us, can you all come down and give a class to our audience, to our congregation? And we said, yeah. And so we couldn't, pick up an offering, but they didn't let us do that. But we actually, we had so many audiences this past year that we didn't have enough people to actually go out and teach. That's amazing. So that's a good problem to have.
The thing that's amazing with that is with doing our presentations here in Chicago for Money Smart Week, there's so many of our presentations that are so poorly attended, like you were saying earlier. So I think that would be really an interesting solution depending on who we could actually partner with and go forward with it. It's a really, really good initiative.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Do we have another Kathy in the back there?
I wanted to go back to something that Lori said about how important it is to have somebody on your committee that knows how to do marketing. And I was wondering if anybody had any tips on how to identify somebody in your community who knows how to do marketing, who might want to be involved in Money Smart Week. Because I think I'm involved in a couple of campaigns in central Illinois, and that's actually been a real challenge for us.
Well, I guess I'm the marketing person of the group up here, so I can respond by saying that I think there's a lot of organizations, I think a lot of people would not assume that a senior living facility on such a local level would have a director of marketing. And so when I talk about being strategic, you know, with your age and income qualifications, it's the same thing when you're looking to grow your team. I mean, we think about the 6 degrees of separation. Everybody knows everybody knows everybody. So trying to reach out to people who know someone who heads up marketing at a financial institution or a healthcare organization. Marketing is marketing is marketing is marketing. It really is something that I think can cross the borders relatively easy, you know, and transition between a financial institution or for me with healthcare. And, you know, I think you always have people that know marketing and do it will always love to do it. They will always have a passion for it. So I think identifying somebody in any kind of organization that would be a new partner and could head up a marketing committee and do that, they're always going to be fine talking about the media. It may take a little education, as it did with me, about what Money Smart Week is and what it does. But once they get it, it's something that you're not going to have any issue finding someone. So just make sure you look outside the normal box. And even a PR firm, you may find a local, I don't know how big your community is, but a local PR firm that, you know, that's a great way for them to get their name out there to handle PR for something and work with them. They already have established media contacts, you know, with television and things like that. So try and reach out to someone and see if they'll do some pro bono stuff for you, and I bet you find that they will.
Okay. We got a question.
Tom Ork with Financial Fitness, Greater Dallas. I thought I'd throw a bone to our Packers fan.
Thank you.
Because that's all I throw you the rest of the season. So anyway.
This is a tough one.
Go Bears. Susan, I've never heard of this teletown hall. So I was curious, can you go into the platform itself, the costs, and then specifically, if you're getting 1,000 people, are you dialing out to 50 to 100,000 folks to get that sort of response rate? And do you come up on do not call lists? How does all the logistics of that work?
When we obtain the phone numbers, and we've gotten them from various sources, sometimes we've gone out and purchased them from some of the companies that telemarketers purchase them from. We always asked our teletown hall vendor to scrub that against the do not call list, so we're not calling those people. Other events we've had with partner organizations, it might be a membership group where they have membership lists that they would share with us to get the telephone numbers. The response rate, the calls all go out simultaneously. We've had some smaller ones with, you know, a few hundred people on it. We've had some larger ones where we've had 10,000 people on the phone at one time. And we've used it for Money Smart Week, but for other projects we do as well. Basically about you get a lot of answering machines depending on what age group you're calling. If you do it during the day and people are at work, you kind of have to target what time of day you want to reach, the people you want to reach. We have a pre-recorded message that goes to those folks whose answering machine picks up. We let them know what we were doing, a number they can call to get more information about Money Smart Week or the project. You get a lot of disconnected numbers, but probably about half of the numbers you dial out, you either get an answering machine or a live answer. And of the live answers, if you get, a third to half will stay on with you for a while. They might not stay on the whole hour, but they'll stay on for 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes. And so we try to kind of recycle the content as we go along. But yeah, it's a pretty good percentage. There are a bunch of different companies that have the software to be able to do this. If you just Google teletown hall meeting, a lot of those will come up. And you just need your computer screen and your telephone. The cost really depends on the length of your town hall meeting, how many people connect, and how you obtain that list of telephone numbers. We've had a low of maybe $2,000 to the highest I think we've ever had is maybe $5,000, which sounds like a lot, but if you're reaching 10,000 people at one time for an hour, it's a great way to do it. And we've been very fortunate that, and you'll find if you have an organization that wants to have an expert on your show, they will help you fund the cost of the teletown hall meeting in many cases. So, and we've actually had great success with government officials as well, local and state government officials, the auditor's office or the treasurer's office, that like to have experts on the call as well.
Okay. Let's go way over in the back.
My question is related to that. How did you market that ahead of time, or did you not? I mean, how did you let people know that was going on? Were they just cold calls, or did you have marketing pieces and whatever that you did with that?
All but one of them, all but two of them that we've done, the people who end up on the other end of the call don't even know it's going to happen. Because it's an outbound call and you're just reaching them at home and they're there sitting there and they pick it up and they hear about it. We tried marketing the one we did to veterans. We put word out in newspapers and online, and our veterans organizations promoted it because it's an outbound call, but you can call in. It costs more if people call in, so we did promote a number, and very few people called in. We found that really wasn't worth the price of the marketing materials that we had spent to do that. And so just it being an outbound thing, it's kind of a surprise, and you get some hang-ups because people don't know what it is. It's really important that first few seconds that you're on the phone, that they're aware that this is an educational thing, it's fun, it's live, but we found that to be better.
Looks like we've got in the back here.
One other quick question concerning this as well, because I'm fascinated by it. I think it makes sense. But how do people distinguish you from scammers? Have you, because you've done so many now, people are aware of it, so when they get the call, they're not concerned or confused?
Particularly in the ones that we've held, and most of ours have focused on consumer protection and on avoiding scams. And what we found, the good and bad part of a teletown hall is the folks who are going to answer the call and stay on the line for us to warn them about scams are the same people who would pick up the call and stay on the line with the scam artist. So at least they're going to stay on the line and hear scam prevention information, and we can warn them, hey, the phone may ring as soon as we hang up, and if they say X, Y, and Z, these are your red flags. Because those are a lot of the folks we're trying to reach are the ones who are isolated and who are going to fall for those scams that come over the phone.
Because it seems like you could do a campaign to let people know that this was going on, so that they can anticipate it, or hope that they were going to be part of it, or email an interest in being part of it, or just things like to prepare them so that when the calls went out.
I like that. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Okay, let's come up front here.
My question, how do you pay for it? You said it's $2,000, $5,000. How do you pay for it?
We've had various partners come to the table to offer to help with it. We've had some of the state government agencies that have participated. We've had AARP Foundation's been able to participate. We've had the Bureau of Senior Services able to participate. I think FINRA might have helped with one that we did on investment scams. Just the different partners have come to the table, and you guys were talking about Treasury earlier. In West Virginia, the Jumpstart Coalition is actually our Treasury organization for our Money Smart Week coalition. So, yep.
My question is for Susan LeFew. My name is Carla James. I'm with the John H. Meyer Community Center. I do asset development. And with the teletown hall model, is that a model that is designed so that when someone calls on the phone, they get their question answered, but is it designed in such a way that they can then be referred to an organization for additional assistance?
Correct. At the end of the call, if they're on at the end of the call, when the call ends, they are given a message. If you stay on the line, you have the opportunity to leave a voicemail message for the panelists. And what typically happens is a large number of the people on the call maybe they were afraid to go online or be on the air. They didn't want to speak on the air. So they'll leave you a message and they'll say, here's my question. And it goes to a voicemail box that the vendor gives you access to. And then what we've typically done is pulled all those messages off and then forwarded them to the right folks who are partners on our call so that they can respond directly to those constituents.
What's the typical turnaround time in terms of response?
For us to get
In terms of someone who left a message and they're expecting a response back, you don't have a goal of how soon you can.
We usually get the message to them within the next day, so hopefully they respond within the next 24 to 48 hours. I would hope. Mostly they do because they're excited to have gotten the message from the call. So.
Anybody else? Other questions? I'm about to turn the tables and give these guys a chance to ask you questions if they want to. Okay, does the panel have questions? Kristen's nodding.
I do. Karen and I were talking before we got up here, and this is just a baseline and a way to kind of get the conversation started about some of the events that have worked for us in our various campaigns. But I think, I'd really like to hear, and I'm sure everybody else would, is there anything that anybody's done very creatively, or even if you haven't been involved in Money Smart Week, an idea that you think would work well, because we really want to hear back from you guys about a best practice. I see someone here.
This last year we did what we call a pet place, which was we did pet place this last year in Lafayette, and it was it worked quite well for us. It was targeted to from K through third grade, and it was based on the fact that the kids got a fake pet that they got to budget a month's expense for it, and they had to save back to be able to go on a family vacation at the end of it. We got real veterinarians to come in and take care of their pet. And then we also had a store. So at the end, if they were able to save, and we had fake dollars with Ben winking at you on them. And at the end, they got to go to that store and purchase the financial football, soccer, or we had lots of vendors that donated stuffed animal or little animals and things like that. And that was a great response, and the kids had a lot of fun with it. We did it in a big open fair type of venue, and that was one of our really innovative ideas that we did last year.
See, and that's where thinking outside the box and something you would never think would work, but then you have the kids there, and then promote Money Smart Week. I mean, that's one thing we talk about is promoting our events within each other. So you have those parents come, they're going to look at that calendar, and then they're going to say, oh my gosh, look at how fun this is. What's out there for me? That's awesome.
And we partnered with Girl Scouts of America. So we already had a nice, huge... We partnered with Girl Scouts of America, so we already had a nice group of people that automatically were signing up, automatically coming. We went out to the local elementary and high school or middle schools to try to get that group of people too. But with partnering with the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts of America, you knew you already were going to have an audience. You could have the numbers beforehand, so you knew how much to prepare for, how much money to make, and it was a lot of fun. And I think everyone on our committee had a lot of fun with that too.
We've got another. Yeah.
I have a question about the Big Read.
Yes.
So you're a public library system, right?
We're an individual library.
Individual library. Okay, so I'm very intrigued about, I missed the part about who paid for that, who bought the books, and my follow-up question to that is, I love it. I want to do it in Michigan. I'm Kelly Masters from Michigan, sorry. I want to do it in Michigan, so I want to know how to do it, and I have relationships with a lot of adult services and library directors, so do I just call them up and ask for the children's librarian? And then second question is, what about working with bookstores? Is that a no-no? Is that, because a lot of them do children's story hours too. Just your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'll go backwards. In other communities, bookstores have participated and it's been just fine. In our community, we don't have a lot of bookstores, strangely enough. So we do it at the library and that works too. The more the merrier for us. The organization that paid for the books for us was a state office. Office of Financial Literacy, Department of Financial Institutions. So,
I'll step in also.
Our office paid for them, and you said you're in Michigan.
Yes.
Are you going to be here tomorrow?
Yes. Yeah, I better.
My director will be here tomorrow. And he probably has a contact for you for a state agency in Michigan that will sponsor the books.
Okay.
I could step in also on
What
this.
department are you with? Which state department?
I'm with the Office of Financial Institutions. In the state of Wisconsin, we title our agencies a lot differently than any other state.
So you're a regulatory
So,
body? You
We
regulate?
are a regulatory body. We regulate the banks, credit unions, payday lenders, corporations, the mortgage companies, anything that has to do with money,
Right.
except for Department of Revenue and insurance, we regulate.
Yeah, see, and that's the office that I work for in Michigan, and we do not give
Money.
money. Because if we give money, we have to give to everyone.
Well, I think you,
That is our policy.
there's another opportunity here. I think
Yeah.
Lori's going to tell you about another way it's handled.
Yeah,
but
Melissa
Melissa's gonna tell us
Liber
more about
has
that
left the
tomorrow, I think.
room. She would be the one to really talk to, but in
She'll
Illinois.
speak tomorrow. She speaks
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah, Illinois does the READ, and it sponsors, the funds for the books come from Country Financial. So they help coordinate that. So it's just, I think you would find that if you went forward with this, you would find a private donor that would be willing, a bank or whatever, that would be willing to fund, because it's not that expensive. They get to, frankly, they get to tag it, this book came from. And it was it's been very easy for all of us to set that up with the libraries. You just call and ask, hey, do you want to read? We're going to give you free books. What library's going to say no?
Yeah.
So it's been very simple, and what are we in, 38? I think we had 38 libraries involved in Central Illinois this year, so.
yeah, and the only reason we didn't go directly to a bookstore, our bookstore will give us not as big a discount. When we start talking that we're going to buy 1,000 books, if we go right to the publisher, we were getting a 60% discount. So, we were getting books for $2, and we could buy twice as many.
And in Bloomington, where Country is, the Berenstein Group, they actually liked the Money Smart Facebook, so that was kind of cute.
I just wanted to mention that we actually we are from the Fox Cities in Wisconsin, Fox Cities region, and we are the neighbors that kind of did the first Big Read, and that's what we titled it, was the Big Read. And I know we've probably all done reads in libraries before, and the reason that it became the Big Read was because we had a lot of different organizations that chose the same book. We did it at the same time, and one of the first places that did it with us was Barnes & Noble. So they really were very, very central to our being able to go ahead and do that. And I know in Oshkosh, just south of us, they also did it in one of the other bookstores too, so that's a real good option.
While the mic's over there, Jeanette, did you want to tell them about your green flyer? Do you have that for folks?
Hi, I'm Jeanette Kopaz with the Chicago Public Library. There was a green flyer out on the table, and when you exit, if you haven't picked it up, we have a series, when you talk about partnering and how to promote, well, what the library does is we always use this one color so that when our patrons come in and they see it, they know it's Money Smart. We put the disclaimer on each flyer so people know that these are educational, so no partner is coming in and promoting or selling a product. And thanks to Ed Jurston, we've marketing this fall, and we're calling it lunch money, because we all know the phrase, there's no such thing as a free lunch. And this year we're doing a noontime program in our video theater, so that's another thing. We have one destination in the building to go to. We have a time, and it's a weekday. We do not do weekend programming in the library due to staffing. And we have a series of 10 different events that are going over the fall months, because we find in the fall, it's our new year. A lot of people are regrouping their finances. They want to plan for the next year, and they don't want to wait until December 31st. So for us, it works. It's a win-win situation. Ed's doing 4 of our events. Karen is doing 1. And Mr. Guzman, I think, has exited the building. He's from the IRS. He did a small business one last week. Tremendous response from our patrons. We may not get 50 plus, but we do get a very loyal group of people coming. So my suggestion to anyone here is partner with your library, try any kind of topic that you think your patrons would love to do, and that's the litmus. What I do is I'm my backup for the staff. Anything they want to do, I try to find a partner that has a topic that does the program. So always support your staff, and your most important source is that person walking in your door, whether it's in a library branch, whether it's in a bank, a financial institution. Open your ears and zip your mouth sometimes, because we love to talk just like I'm doing right now, but listen to what they have to say, because that's your most important person, is the one who walks through the door.
Okay. We've got a couple more minutes, so questions from either side we'll take. I think we've got the mic handed right there, yeah.
Hi, I'm Diane from Northwest Indiana, and first of all, another hat I wear is the president of a literacy coalition, and just this past Christmas season, we worked with Books A Million and told them what kind of books we were looking for, and as people came and purchased books for Christmas gifts, they said, may we suggest you purchase one of these for the Literacy Coalition, and we got 1,000 books. Wow. You know, and I did that was over a 6-week period, that I might suggest you try them. Another thing is, the best attended presentations we have are at adult education. I schedule it during the day and at night during their class periods. And the teachers bring the students to the presentation. We do it in both English and Spanish. And then finally, one other thing that is a very small group but gets a ton of publicity is we have begun working with deaf services. And it takes some additional prep time because the presenter, you know, doesn't sign the presenter, but we have someone who signs it to those people. That's a group that desperately needs it.
I think we had another at the table, right? Yeah.
Stacy Montague, Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City, Denver branch. For that person who asked about how do you market, we actually sought out an ad agency in Denver and said, hey, would you be interested in some pro bono work? They loved it. They actually are the ones that keep calling us saying, when are we planning again? When are we getting together? And one of the reasons why is we really kissed their booty. I hate to say it. And we promoted them and kept giving them free publicity. Hey, all this information, all this good stuff was brought to you because of, and we just kept promoting them. The Public Relations Society of America, PRSA, has chapters throughout the country and in each different city. There's also a student chapter, and they're always looking for projects, resume builders, which are fantastic. Something else we did with the ad agency, and because we were finding other ad agencies were interested in helping us with this program, is we actually held a marketing workshop for our partners. Because partners were also looking for, why do I want to be part of this? What's in it for me, right? And so about 3 months before Money Smart Week in Denver, or Colorado, I should say, we held a half-day workshop for partners. Because some of them were nonprofits, some of them were groups that are like, I don't know anything. I don't know how to get people to my event. And we had three different agencies come in and talk about it. It was the most popular thing that we did. It was free for them. That's something they keep asking for. Can you do it again halfway through the year? We'd like to know. So that's another good way to get the word out.
Okay, great. And now I'll let our wonderful mic person run that over here to wherever he, we got.
I got it already.
We're fighting for the
One thing
mic now. It's a great problem.
We did, we had a media group committee, and the media committee went through training from a pro bono media person to teach them how and what to do in front of the camera, and we did some on-site, role playing and all that, and it was very helpful for picking out who we thought would be the best to represent the initiative.
These are all great suggestions. I appreciate y'all speaking up.
And I think it's interesting that, we're sitting on the best practices panel and every single one of us are listening to you talk.
Hi, Liz Bloom with Baxter Credit Union. First off, thank you all for participating in this panel. This has been fantastic. A few things that we did that we found very successful was partnering with Junior Achievement. They are very big on experiential learning, so anybody else, I'm sure some heads nodding, they take that very well. And with Money Smart Week, we got smart. As far as our marketing, we did 3 marketing campaigns around Money Smart Week. So we did a 25 and under, and we provided on-demand content. Here's some videos for you to watch, and we were able to track their activity. And then we focused on 25 to 50-year-olds, and we did like lunch hour webinars. We figure they're at work. They'll probably have about 20 minutes to follow along our webinars. And then for the 50-plus folks, we partnered with our investment advisors and did retirement planning type topics. And we were very successful in all 3 categories, but our success really came in our increase in Facebook likes by about 24% in mostly these 25 and under groups. So
Interesting. Okay. All right. Just enough time for one more. 2 more? Okay. The boss said 2 more.
Hi, Erica Gloyd, Federal Reserve Bank Houston with Houston Money Week. A couple of things that we did as far as marketing goes is we made some bin heads on a stick. So if you're familiar with the New Orleans Saints, there's a company, a t-shirt company that actually made some Coach Sean's on a stick, and so last year when he wasn't with the team, everybody had their Coach Sean's in the audience to be with the team. And so I kind of took that idea and put Ben's head on a stick and passed it around to all the partners, and they took pictures with him outside of different events, at different places around the city. Where is Ben today? He's off of I-10. And so, he ended up all over the place. So we had them to post their pictures. We put them on Facebook. People liked it, that kind of thing. So that was one idea that we had. Also, we saw in some of your pictures that you all have, real life Bens dressed up in costume. Well, we did that as well, but we had, instead of 1 Ben, we had 4. But we chose 4 different Bens, so they were different nationalities, so that they can really reach the audiences that we target. So it wasn't just a typical Ben, but it was a Ben that looked like me and a Ben that looked like Ruben. And so, we really got out there and put a different face, a different Ben. And we've talked about adding a Mrs. Ben for the new year, so we can see how that goes. But on a personal note, I will say that I've taught my daughters about Ben Franklin and what mommy does at work and how she teaches kids about money and things like that. But for her school, I actually buy them books. So every year their teacher requests, oh, we need this for the classroom, we need this for the library. I do those normal things, but I also add piggy banks and I add books that talk about money for their classroom. So it's my own little personal mission, but it's something that, all parents can do. It's just you don't think about it in those terms. So, even something small like that can help as well.
Yeah. And I think I see looming a new idea for a scavenger hunt question, have a picture taken with Ben. Yeah? We have one more? All right.
Clarice Neville-Ewell from Cooley Law School. I'm a law professor. And we actually try and do programming throughout the academic year because it sort of corresponds to the students' schedules. And one of the things that I'm training them to do is to conduct a survey in advance so that we can identify substantively with what the audience wants to know. So for example, we have an Air Force base in Michigan, and we actually went to a picnic several months before the programming, passed out surveys to get an idea of some of the topics that they were concerned about. And in turn, we then located the speakers and also give students an opportunity to participate. So that has a dual purpose. You not only get the substantive material that's relevant to the audience, but you're also letting them know we care about you, we care about what you're concerned about, and it's a marketing tool as well.
Yeah, great. I hope that this panel and group discussion has fulfilled your expectations for this afternoon. Let's give everybody a big hand, but especially our 5 panelists.